me fair. I love that's catchy tune. Huh?
Very nice.
What's great is brand new. Welcome back to Daily Flash. It's time for some real talk, fact or fiction.
Yeah, this is a new segment that we're doing on the show. We all love movies and television shows here on the show. So we also like the good docudrama series and movies, bio dramas. So it's always fun to find out what's true and what's not so true, what's been Hollywoodized. So this is our opportunity to find out what's fact and what's fiction in these new movies. We're taking a closer look at the new Netflix drama, Woman of the Hour. Take a look.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Woman of the Hour. Let the games begin.
Anna Kendrick directs and stars in this true story of a serial killer who ends up on the dating game show back in the late 1970s. Kendrick stars as an actress who chooses Rodney Alcala as her date while he's in the midst of a real-life cross-country murder spree.
Yeah.
And Cheryl Bradshaw, who she plays, is about to be his next victim.
All right, so the question is, what is actually fact and what is actually fiction in the movie Woman of the Hour? Let's break it down for you right now, because there was some generalities given and characters made up. In the movie, Cheryl, spelled with a C, Cheryl Bradshaw is an aspiring actress with the theater credentials, all from New York City. Now, this is actually fiction. In reality, little is actually known about the real Cheryl, spelled with an S, Bradshaw. She was introduced as the woman who once earned her living as a foot masseuse, and there's no record of her actually ever being an actress. A Cheryl Bradshaw was listed as a communications teacher in Arizona, but she died in 2004. So that's a big difference, I would say, right there.
Yeah, the fact that there's very little known about her other than she was on this dating game show, but they really make a big deal in the movie that she's this aspiring actress who was well trained on the East Coast, and she's struggling to find her footing in Los Angeles.
And you know this, Matt, I'm sure you had an agent as well. The agent, when she said she was going to quit, was kind of like, oh no, please. Like, okay, go. In reality, that's the stuff I picked up on. Is that dealing with agents.
They would never call you and say, don't go.
Don't go.
No, please don't. They're like, whatever. Bye.
You've never done anything, but I want you to stay.
Stay.
Never
and
happens.
then she gets a last minute call. I've got this great opportunity for you. Now that's real because they try and sell you on crap that they want you to just book.
You end up in a Toyota commercial.
Well, now, that's not so bad. In the movie, Cheryl and Rodney go to a tiki lounge after taping their episode of The Dating Game. Now, in this particular scene, now this is the acting scene of the movie. We'll get to the tiki scene here in a second. They discuss Cheryl's acting career, and in the scene, Rodney attempts to order another drink, but Kendrick's character gives the waitress a look, and the night comes to an end, but not before the two walk back to their cars in the studio parking lot. Now, this is fiction. In reality, this never happened, but producers did say Cheryl admitted to a creepy vibe and refused to go out on the date. In the movie, the two were given a trip to Carmel, California as a romantic getaway, but in reality, it was only a day trip to Six Flags Magic Mountain.
I mean, that's
and Cheryl
just as
refused
good,
to go.
right?
Yeah, somewhat, right? Yeah. All right. So.
But the parking lot scene was very dramatic. It was a good build-up.
It had to give that.
Yes.
I mean, you had to see how freaked out she was about that. And again, these are the liberties that Hollywood takes a lot of times.
Of course.
And in the movie, Rodney is finally caught after a teenage runaway escapes his abuse and calls the police. This is mostly true. In 1979, Alcala, that's how you say it, right? Picked up a 15-year-old girl who was hitchhiking. Monique Hoyt managed to escape after being nearly killed. She convinced Rodney that she wanted to continue the relationship. She was able to get away from him and called police, but Rodney was gone before they arrived. The murder that finally put Alcala behind bars happened in 1979 when he kidnapped a 12-year-old. The victim's friends were able to identify Rodney, and he was arrested for the final time. I looked up, so when these come out, I start doing Wikipedia.
Me too.
Yeah, right?
And I'm like, what's real in here? Because we just had the Menendez brothers thing come out, and I had to educate my wife on it. I'm like, no, I lived through this, watched it on TV. And I'm like, no, this happened, this happened, this happened. And then you start going through it, and you're like, oh my God, how did they not catch this guy? But again, it was 1979, so there was no like Facebook or anything to track somebody.
And you think about this, the dating game was a huge TV show at the time, and they were saying, they at least alluded to that he was actually killing during this time and had done it before, and for him to get on there. There's no vetting. I think now they vet contestants.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Well, you're going to go through somebody's Facebook. You're going to go through their resume. You're going to find
now today.
Yeah.
Back then it was like, yeah, it sounds interesting.
You look like a good-looking, and he was a good-looking guy in reality. And then they also talk about him working at the LA Times. He did as a typesetter, but in the movie they have him as a photographer.
If you watch it too, now, and we're telling you what's true and it's not true. I think it was an okay movie. It kind of got really lazy at the end.
I agree.
It's just like whenever they just like pop up the screen, you just have to read it. It's like, would you run out of money? You can't do any more shooting.
No, it did sort of come like, and it was over.
There is a character in this movie that was in the audience and noticed him in the movie.
Yes.
That was a completely made up character. And the reason why they wanted to do that is that she went to authorities and no one would listen to her. Yeah. And that encompassed basically how many people went to the police talking about this guy, saying, listen, you need to get this guy. And the police, and what their terms, didn't do anything at all.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see how Hollywood really kind of turns a script and kind of dials up the volume to make things much more interesting. There's some really great parts to it, but I'm with you. I feel like I was expecting a little bit more, and it sort of was a letdown at the very end.
Isn't it nuts? We had some really good serial killers in the 70s and 80s, and now we don't have any good ones.
I think Ted Bundy was on the dating game.
It was my understanding Ted Bundy
Yeah.
was on this.
And in Florida State.
He went to Florida
My
State.
friend's
That's right.
mom sold him shoes.
I lived down the street from one of the houses when I lived down in Utah.
Did you
I
really?
believe that he had done some stuff. Matt, you got doing it coming up, right?
Yes,
what are you
we
talking
do.
about?
We are doing crossover movies because Halloween and Christmas are becoming the same thing.
Crossover holidays.
Yes.
Yes.
And we're going to help your home as well. Gators helping it up.
Halloween, Christmas, pool noodle hacks.